It's time for a reality check.
We're here to deconstruct health and fitness trends and provide tangible advice so you can become 1% better with each choice starting today. Welcome back to Reality Check. We are your hosts, Jess and Jill, and today we present to you with, I think, a very valuable topic, but coming at you from an unhinged angle a little bit, which we know everybody loves.
No notes.
Jess and I, Jess came to visit me in Boise, Idaho this past weekend, and we are venturing off into a new business venture together. We are not abandoning Fueled by any means, but just something that we're doing together, and we're entering our tech founder era. And we really wanted this trip mostly to just connect, obviously, because we don't see each other in person often, but also to just kind of like ground in our vision for that. And we've both been reading the book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, together and kind of discussing it along the way. And it ties into what we wanted to talk about, just some things that came up for us this weekend, and also just like what it takes. And obviously this correlates to you guys, just like what it takes to actually like shift your identity and who you are as a person. And it's really interesting that this came up. I didn't even tell Jess this part yet, but I was on a call earlier this week with this like female founder group that I'm in. And we were talking about like ego death and how you have to like shed this old version of yourself. And sometimes you're in this in between where like you're shedding this old version of yourself and all these comfortable patterns. And then you feel kind of lost for a second because you're like not fully sure what the path
this is you.
Like.
Yeah.
Because you haven't traveled it before, right? So you're kind of stepping into the unknown, which is all good and amazing for growth. But like making an identity shift can feel really scary, and our brain will automatically default to whatever's comfortable, even if it doesn't serve you in the best capacity, because it wants comfort for you. So comfort, even if it's an uncomfortable comfort where you are never changing your body, even though you hate it, when you are stuck in a relationship that you know you should leave, but you're like, well, I don't know what the other side of this looks like, or a job, right? Like so many people stay in jobs that they hate and make them miserable because they're like, what else am I going to do?
It's too scary to change. Yeah. Like you freeze.
And that's what your brain is designed to do. And we have to be able to differentiate those thoughts and kind of push through them. And that's really the moral of this podcast and where we want to venture through this topic.
Yeah.
So we were texting a little bit through this, and it's so funny. Like, I'm trying to think of the example where like you said something and I was like, ew, no, like that's not what we're doing, or that's not, I don't know. Like sometimes I get a little delusional and I have to like pump Jess up a little bit. Like she's like reality.
But it's like, yeah, I'm the reality. I'm like, okay, the dose of reality check. Hold on. I'm always testing or like playing devil's advocate and saying like, time out. We have to think about these logistical things, right? I'm like the micro thinker in this stuff. And Jill, I know she just used the word delusional, but delusional to her own benefit. And she's like this across the board. And I think it's a really cool example. Like I can talk about silly examples in just life, but it translates to business because she has an idea and she says, all right, I'm going to run with it. And like in tech, they have this term fail fast, right? You want to do lots of iterations of something so that you can find the bugs faster so that you can get to the fixes, right? I'm kind of a type of person who gets like paralysis by analysis, where I am like, well, I need to become really excellent at it before I'll open my mouth because I don't want to embarrass myself. And Jill's like, dude, how are you going to learn? You just got to do it, right? But it was funny. We went to Tahoe last year with a bunch of girlfriends, and Jill, like, was it your first time skiing, or maybe like first time skiing as an adult since childhood or something? Like
just first time in a while. Yeah.
It was like first time in a while. Now she's like an avid skier, takes lessons, lives on the mountain. Like, but it was like, she was a little nervous that day, and she shows up in a full new outfit. She's like, takes one trip down the hill and is like, I'm a skier now. And like, no lie, the next like 3 weekends in a row, she's sending us pictures on the ski slopes with her husband. She's like, bought the whole family skis, bought a season ticket. Like, she's like, yeah. And she's like, no, I'm a skier now. Well, that, like, as much as we joke about it, that's literally what makes her successful as a leader as well, is not just, okay, I'm going to go all in, but I'm going to go all in. And it's okay to fail and stumble, because putting in those reps is going to get me there faster than the person who is thinking about it, right? And now this weekend I'm laughing because like I got a custom cowboy hat made. Now she's like full living out west, living out her childhood dream. Like this is not, we both grew up together, kind of like running in overlapping circles in the like yeah, in a rural suburb, where like some yeehaw activities, but yeah, it's like, oh no, I'm a cowboy now, I live out west. Like Jill comes home, the kids are laughing because they're like, are you going to be a cowboy like Miss Jill is? But it's like, okay, we go to the rodeo now because we live here and this is what we do, and it's just, that's how you embrace new things. And I feel like you get more out of life because you're not overthinking it or questioning what anybody thinks about it. You're like, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. And I think that this really applies to our clients as they are navigating their new identities, because it can be really scary. We had a whole episode about like bringing out a new identity also means a death to an old version of yourself. And that can be kind of scary because what losses come with that, right? A lot of times people tie their identity to their social life, whether that's drinking with friends or, oh, we always do stuff revolving around unhealthy foods. Like, how am I going to just hang out with my people if that's what my people do? Are they not going to like me anymore? And it's like, it might not be a front of mind thing, but I feel like these are subconscious things that happen when people change. They're scared to outgrow their old thing. So a lot of the work we have been doing independently and talking to each other about is like, visualizing what that next version of ourselves is going to look like, because how are we going to be successful at this new thing we've never done before, behaving the way we behave now in this version, right? We have to shed some of those things that hold us up in order to let the new things bloom.
And we also feel like you have to wait until you like arrive at this new destination. And like an identity shift is something that happens over time, which is why we are very intentional about the way that we move clients through our program in terms of like meeting them at what chapter they're on and going through all of the chapters. Even though it feels slow and boring and like, oh my God, am I going to ever get to the other side of this? And it's like, there's a reason behind that. And so that you are stepping into that version of yourself at a pace that feels sustainable forever for you. And we think we need to like arrive at the destination before we start doing those things. And it's like, no, waking up and acting like the person, that version of you that you want to be is how you're going to get there. So like, I actually started doing something recently, waking up 30 minutes earlier, because I was like, I really need this time to like ground. And I know that I can't be that other version of myself unless I start grounding myself a little bit more in the present. And I was like, I have to do this. So it's like this new habit, and it sounds so silly, but like, that is what I'm like, I know the next version of myself looks like that, talks like that, listens like that, has these habits. So I just start doing them because I'm like, well, what am I going to wait for? Like, nobody's going to invite me into this new version of myself. I got to just be it. So doing it before it even feels,
before it's a thing. I like also, which is funny. So Jill mentioned we're reading the book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And it's funny because a lot of the book is about detaching yourself from your environment, your body, and time. Like, no, but who are you at your core? But I actually find changing my environment is very helpful also, to be like, okay, how does this person show up? This person, I get the luxury of working from home and being able to wear sweatpants or workout clothes every day, right? I'm going to wake up and like do my hair, get ready as if I'm going to work every single morning, because when I was working in an office job, that's what I did, right? I think showing up like that is a quick trigger almost for my brain to be like, oh yeah, we're a new person now because we're showing up, we're getting dressed for the workday. I'm sitting at my desk. I'm not sitting on the couch answering messages. So I think sometimes changing your physical environment can help with that also. And that doesn't have to mean physical clothes, right? But it could be decluttering your physical space in your home. It could be changing.
Actually, I'll give you a funny example of this. So when we were in Boise this weekend, we went to this Western store, and Jess and I both bought these like silk scarves to wear on your neck, right? Like as a true cowgirl would do. And when we left the store, Jess had her hat on. I don't remember if she had her boots on or not. But I was like, wait, what are we doing? And I set the bag down on the sidewalk and put my scarf on. She's like, oh, we putting it on now? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, really? I'm like, well, yeah. What do you mean? And it was so funny. She was like, should I wear my hat to dinner? I'm not sure. And then once she got out, it was like, cowboy hats everywhere. Like nobody looks at you like you're dressed in a costume. Like people dress like that out here. And it's such a corny example, but like from this weekend, Jess was like, this really is like your environment. Like no wonder you are a cowgirl because everyone around here is.
Because you're comfortable in that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think first your question was, if you were Beyonce, would you wear the scarf and the hat? And I was like, duh.
Like, I can't wear both. And I was like, why not?
Like, what if you were super successful and you did this, this, and that? You would dress however you want. And I was like, yeah, that is how I want to dress. But it was like, why do we limit ourselves if we could be like, think about the ultimate potential you. And how does that chick show up? Start showing up like that.
She doesn't care what other people think. She doesn't aligned in who she is and confident and grounded and all these things. And I'm like, wear the fucking hat, dude.
And we talk to our clients about that a lot when it comes to their behaviors, though. Like, okay, the person you're describing with the results and the outcomes you're describing, who has a lot of energy and this and that, doesn't binge watch Netflix for three hours at night. Like she goes to sleep because that's going to allow you to have those outcomes that you're talking about. That girl wakes up in the morning and goes for a walk or gets her butt to the gym, right? Like you have to start becoming that person rather than just expecting the result. And then the outcome is not the finish line. Everybody, this is so like cliche, but it's the journey, right? That those small inputs along the way that are really boring and seem insignificant are the things that add up and become that new person.
Yeah. And it talks about too, in Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, which I don't know, I might read it through again twice just because I love it, but neuroplasticity is a topic that I am just absolutely fascinated with. But you can actually like visualize, like visualization. I used to be like so woo-woo, so corny, so lame. And it's actually like one of the most, in my opinion, powerful tools to like bring about this next thing that you want in life. And you can actually like reprogram your identity, but you have to consciously interrupt those old thought patterns and behaviors and replace them with aligned ones. I just said to Jess, I heard this exact line when I was listening to it on my audio in the gym this morning, that like, you have to have awareness, first of all, of your patterns and thoughts that are no longer serving you. So when they come up, it's like, literally the book said like, no, I'm not endorsing that thought. That is not mine. Go away. Goodbye. See you later. Like, I don't even know where that came from. That's not me. But we have these repetition of thoughts. If you're having these old negative thoughts of like, I'm addicted to sugar. Well, I just can't control myself around food. Well, I'm not a gym person, whatever. You are solidifying that thought and that neural pathway to shape who you are and what your behaviors are. So you ever heard the phrase of like, forget how it goes. Like whatever you think you are, like you become, or what?
Your thoughts become your habits become whatever, and that becomes like your identity or your character.
Oh, I was thinking of whether you think you can or you can't. You're right, because you are.
Yeah. Yep.
Like truly, if you're like, I can't do that, well, you're right, you can't, because you are now solidifying that, you are setting it in stone, and you have to have a pattern disrupt for those things. And that's really hard. And you have to, the first step is being aware of it. Like just being aware that those thoughts are there, because they become subconscious and second nature. We don't even realize we're bringing ourselves down.
Well, and then you're able to consciously shift it. And the way that I heard it, like whenever I was in school, they used to always describe changing neural pathways as like a river that's running, and then there's these new little tributaries that run off, and over time eventually they erode and they become the natural path of the water, right? Our habits are like that, where at first it feels really hard and it's kind of bumpy and maybe a little bit of water goes through, and then eventually we do it over and over and over again consciously. Now it's a new habit. Now it's just who we are, right? It just becomes an easy flowing thing. And it's kind of similar in that way. But yeah, we have to consciously say, no, I'm not that person. As opposed to I should, or I don't want to be, or, oh, I can't control myself around food at social events, but I'm trying this thing. No, because now you have this internal tug of war that's going on. So you can't fully step into the new thing because you're fighting your own brain. So there's actually something to physically changing your thought patterns and your language around it to change the, even change the tense of, no, I used to be somebody who couldn't control myself around food, but now I am somebody who feels great when I eat well because I love having a lot of energy, right? Put it in the present tense, put it in a positive as if it's already happened, and your actions will follow.
And the actual like theme and point of breaking the habit of being yourself, like the actual, like that's the title of the book, but the actual concept of that is that we get so addicted to our experiences and the feelings that were associated with those experiences, meaning your nervous system was likely, a lot of us obviously deal with like stressors in life, but I used to very, very heavily be a victim of my own thoughts. Well, like, of course this didn't work out. Like, life's harder for me than it is for everybody else. Or like, I knew it was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. I knew this was going to
If you say so, right?
Right. So like I kept doing that. And there is an actual like emotional addiction where your brain gets comfortable and used to these chemical states. And there's actually data to support that, like, you experience this trauma or this stressor at some point in your life, that thinking about it, that chemical state is just as strong as when you actually lived it. So you are now training your nervous system over and over and over to constantly be in this fight or flight state. And you have to break that pattern. So you have to be able to, again, awareness, and then consciously make those like shifts, but also you have to be able to train your nervous system, which is why, like, a lot of times we talk to clients about nervous system in the context of like, all right, life is very stressful right now. You've got all these stressors that we really don't have control over, putting you in more of a sympathetic state with your nervous system, which is that like fight or flight, like go, go, go. So we need to send some signals of like safety and rest and relaxation to your parasympathetic state, right? We want to get you in there. And it's not because we're like, calm down, chill out. It's like, we're just trying to tip the scale. And obviously you can't see my hands, but like, we're trying to balance that scale.
Find balance,
more, right? So that it's not that I can eliminate your stressors or that your boss sucks or that your relationship is shitty, but what I can do is increase your bucket of tolerance so that you're not so triggered and so overwhelmed and constantly just shutting down because you spilled a little bit of coffee on your way to work. Like, that shouldn't be a triggering event for anybody. It's a very small, minuscule thing to happen in the grand scheme of things. So you're training your nervous system to tolerate that. But on the other side of that, we get uncomfortable in the calm when we're so used to chaos that when we're there, we're like, ooh, like, I don't like this, because then your negative thoughts are coming up and you have to deal with your emotions, right? So your meditation and EFT tapping and breath work and yoga, those are all things to ground you in the present, because this chaos is you either being stuck in the past or worrying about the future. And the best way to regulate is to ground yourself in the now, in the present, in today. And it's a really powerful tool. And it's funny, as we're recording this podcast, I had a conversation with a client who was like, I am so overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. I have all these tasks. Like, what do I focus on? Like, help me. And I was like, listen, these things are happening. This is a temporary season of life, but why don't we try some tools? Like, have you ever tried any nervous system regulation tools? We chatted about it. And I was like, I think EFT tapping would be really helpful for you. You're talking about sleep being disrupted. Try that. This is a 6-minute routine you can do at night. She messaged me while we're on this podcast and literally said, I did some tapping before bed last night, and my new Aura Ring showed a 94% sleep efficiency.
Wow.
Like, half of my sleep was either in deep or REM sleep. So much better than the nights before. Literally, that came through
the same day.
1 6-minute EFT tapping session of her grounding in the present. I mean, be for real. She in her check-in the day before, she's like, my sleep.
That's awesome.
I can't stay asleep. I can't fall asleep. I'm a mess.
And we've had clients before who do stuff like that, where they're like, I don't think I like yoga. It's slow. I don't think, and it's like, okay, cool. Let's come up with let's do box breathing. Let's do this. We'll find other ways to get your body to calm down. But we've had many clients who are like, I don't know, this is really weird. I just started crying. And it's like, wow, that is your body saying like, oh, we were in this sympathetic go, go, go state so much that as soon as you took a second to breathe, your body's looking for a release. Like, that is a beautiful sign that you need this really bad.
You've been distracting yourself from feeling your actual feelings.
Yeah. And she's like, I didn't feel any, like, I don't know why. I just started crying. And it's like, that's your physical body's buildup of stress. I really liked, this is kind of goes along with what you said about if you say you can or can't, you're right. But I liked the way that the book put it about like, when we relive our experiences over and over, like whatever, I'm going to use the word traumatic events, but whatever negative outcomes have happened and we're nervous it's going to happen again. Oh no, did I not get invited to that thing? Oh, what does that person think? Because I just said something dumb. What is it? Right. By reliving those and replaying them in our brains, we're actually limiting ourselves. We're putting ourselves in the position of the person who's always shown up in that way, as an anxious person, as a worrier, as somebody who holds on to guilt. If we can stop reliving that, we are now opening ourselves to incredible potential outcomes that we've never experienced before. By expecting that we're going to experience the same thing, we're actually limiting all of the future outcomes that could possibly come, because we're going to start behaving like the person who elicits that outcome that we don't like. I feel like the way that they put that really shifted my perspective too, where I'm like, wow, I'm limiting all these other beautiful outcomes that could be the actual truth by having self-doubt in my head.
You're so worried about one bad thing.
One little thing that happened once. Yeah. And also I like, so the way that this book is broken down, it's 3 parts. The first part, I would say, is a little redundant. It's like the neuroscience, the neuroplasticity stuff. It's trying to convince you that, hey, there's a reason to this, right? The second part is kind of like parts work about like, hey, write down the specific feeling that you notice that you have all the time. For me, it's like, oh no, worry about if somebody's going to like me, or oh, what did I say in that scenario, or like replaying things back. Focus on one of those things. And then part 3 is all about learning how to physically meditate to change your brain waves. So I, again, have seen meditation, breath work, whatever you want to call it, physically help people's health outcomes. And I first thought it was just BS, and I believe it started working because I was immersed in it in a class where I had to do it a certain amount of times per week, and I saw myself changing, where I was like, whoa, I feel less calm, I feel less anxious, I'm sleeping better, all these positive outcomes, right? I love the way he breaks it down, saying, hey, we have these different brain waves, right? And a lot of times we're in this, like, I forget which type of beta wave, but a lot of times we're in this beta wave that is hyper focused on problem solving and, okay, I need to fix this outcome. This is my logical brain to an extreme. When you are in that logical brain trying to solve problems and replaying the thing and nitpicking every little detail, you physically can't zoom out and have this creative function of your brain, because that creative function only works in this other brainwave, which is closer to almost like a sleeping type brainwave where you're actually relaxed or playing, right? So by physically meditating, you can bring your body and your brainwaves down to this more relaxed state into I think it's theta waves, but you can bring your body into this physically relaxed state while doing some of this work, while saying, nope, this is the person I'm becoming. And it rewires your subconscious in a more sound way, because you're not fighting with the logical brain. Your emotional brain is saying like, yeah, I really am that person, because you can just believe it when you're in this more relaxed state. So it's very cool. Again, I use meditation practices quite a bit as a means to bringing clients into more parasympathetic states when they are go, go, go all the time and their stress markers are high and all that. But I had never learned about it as a means to changing your identity, because you can actually calm your body down enough to work through some of the hard stuff that you want to change.
And everyone loves hearing. Every time I post on my stories about EMDR therapy, I get like 8 billion replies. And I think this is so applicable. And I haven't talked about it much, but I have been doing EMDR therapy every single week now, standing appointment, same day, same time, for a couple of months again now. I took some time off after the move cross country. And then after a death in July, I was like, whoa, something feels crazy. Like I gotta sort this through. And actually my session this week was super interesting, because she was like, hey, we have a couple of directions we can go here today. But last year when you took time off before the move, we had 3 different things that we were working on that I didn't fully close that loop. So like, I want to see what your nervous system is comfortable with. So I'm going to present you with these 3 topics, discuss the current topic that needs to be addressed at some point, and you tell me what feels good. So we went back to revisit this old one, and I was like, oh, that doesn't feel triggering for me. Like, let's do that so we can close the loop if possible. We go in, and I was like, okay, wow, this loop is not closed. And it's really cool. So to give you like super quick breakdown of how it works is she presents me with this, like, you told me you were in this place, you had this feeling, this is the thought that comes up. Now we're going to do the therapy part. So she'll turn on this screen with a dot and it sounds, so it bounces kind of like those old Windows screensavers, but it just goes straight back and forth. And I follow the sound, obviously with my ears, but my eyes are going back and forth watching this dot. And she's like, just stay in that moment and see what comes up for you. And I'm like, okay, now this thought came up. Okay, well now I'm pissed at this. And it's fascinating, the trail. And then it was like, boom, this is the root of the problem. And she's like, great. Now that you found the problem, now we have to address where that came from. So I'm going through these different experiences in life, but I'm trying to figure out what made me react this way. in the beginning of that pattern. Because remember, as kids, like, we're fearless, we're loved, we're all these things, and we go through these shitty experiences in life and good ones that shape us to respond differently. And anyway, obviously I won't get too personal with it, but it's the same thing of like, I am going and reconnecting those neural pathways that maybe were broken or changed to tell that version of myself, hey, like, you're good, like, this is how life turns out.
You're unlearning the things that have kept you from being your best self, because we put these protection mechanisms up just to try to protect ourselves from things that we might not even remember from when we were little. Like, this doesn't mean it's some wild trauma, right? Yeah. But a teacher might have said something to you once and you got a little embarrassed. So then you stop raising your hand in class, right? It's like those little things so that you can get your confidence back by unlearning the things that are roadblocks that you may or may not realize.
I did this version of therapy is because I felt like Jess talks about all the time, like, you just go for it and whatever. And like, I do, but like, I still have this like internal paralysis where I self-sabotage a little bit. If I'm like, oh, like, what if this goes this direction? I don't know. And like, I genuinely still move forward. It just is like debilitating emotionally. But that was what I wanted to do, was like, why am I self-sabotaging essentially when good things are happening? So I was like, okay, to be the absolute best grounded, beautiful version of myself, and I see myself as being like a teacher forever, a consultant or something, like, I need to be so grounded in who I am, and I have some questions, and that's really the purpose of EMDR therapy. And every single week I'm like, I don't want to go to this, and then every time I do it I'm like, oh my god, what is wrong with me? Like, that was so helpful. So anyway, it is the same concept. I'm literally doing this myself with this work, but also with EMDR therapy with a professional, because I was like, all right, I need a little help here. So anyway, I just wanted to give another version of that, because I think that's...
Well, and you're putting in the work, which I think is a big deal. Like, a lot of times, like, I read all these books. If you don't actually implement the practice, you're not going to change, right? So you're doing that by going to therapy. I'm setting aside time of like, okay, I'm going to do this journaling to work through some of my things that get in my way in terms of my self-sabotaging thoughts, because I don't want to be like that anymore. Like, you actually have to be able to do it if you want to step outside of that and become that new version. So
yeah, Jess actually did that this weekend. I forget where we like came from, but she was like, I'll be back in a little. I got to go journal this out or something.
Because I get like little spurts of inspiration. And when I get that, I'm like, I need to ruminate on the good stuff when it hits, because I feel like that's like I don't know. It's like a gift of mine of like, okay, I know, like, when I feel in my gut that something's going to work out well, I'm going to write about it. I'm going to pray about it. And then we make it happen. Like,
and then the other, like, one other concept I wanted to present was that same thing from the book. So obviously we're just pulling from that and kind of grounding in it. But the concept of like that, the version of you that you want to be is already like, you are that person, right? You're not dying and becoming somebody else. Like, you are already that person.
We just need to get you to stop getting in your own way.
Yes, literally. And your brain doesn't, when you practice like visualization and things, if you like vividly sit down and like actually visualize, see the things that you want to see in your future, your brain doesn't know the difference from this thing that you're visualizing and like what's real and what's not, essentially.
There's all sorts of studies like that where they've had people playing piano in their brain or practicing basketball free throws. And
they get better at it.
And they physically get better from visual. I remember that being a thing when I used to take piano lessons that my teacher would teach me, is like, even when you're just sitting and waiting and watching the other kids play, before I had to go, I did like music theory tests. And before I would go to the test, she would be like, picture it in your head. But it actually works as if you were doing the thing.
Yeah. So like you are aligning your thoughts and your emotions and all of those things and in real time practice with your actions with that future state of yourself. And then your nervous system is like, oh, cool. Like, this is what we're doing. And then it starts to slowly shift your perception and what you focus on and those little decisions you make in your day, so that you start to filter out old you and start to align with this new version of you. Because I want my body and my brain to be delusional about this new version of myself, right? Like, I want those thoughts to come up and be like, ew, no, thank you.
That's an old version of me. It got me here, so I'm not mad about it, but like, I don't have the internal competing thoughts anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're just
so that version
there.
Is there in your brain. You just are like building the bridge from the old you to the new you through, like Jess said, your environment, through your beliefs and visualization, and through just repetition of like
and how you're going to
habits.
choose through small little choices every single day, right? Our clients a year in, 2 years in are like, I can't believe I'm just somebody who packs a vegetable with my lunch every day and I like it. And that's just who I am now. Like I never thought I would have been that person, but it's not overnight. It's not because they said, I'm on a diet plan, I better start doing this. It's because little habits over time, eventually they are like, I feel better. Wow, I like this version of me. And now it's just their normal, right? You can do that in all different areas of your life.
Mm-hmm. So you have to like to do that like true identity work. You are not endorsing those old thoughts. You're interrupting those negative loops that come through in your brain from the old version of you. And then the future self visualization, even if you do like a minute every morning of just like the future you, like, what do you want? What does she look like? How does she act? What does she have? What does she do for work? Whatever it is that you're trying to like, I don't know, manifest feels like a woo-woo word in this conversation, but essentially that, obviously aligning your decisions and behaviors throughout the day that match the standards of the version you want to be. And then, like Jess said, kind of surrounding yourself and your environment with to reinforce this new identity. So I've been going to all these local events with like these other business owners, and I'm like, I paid to go to some dinner that I was like, I don't know, I just got an email that said like female founders are going here. And it was like so incredibly valuable. And then I'm in this other group that I like get on the call and I hear people talking about like their exit strategies of, you know, they sold for $1 billion. And I'm like, yeah, these are the fucking people I want to hang out with, you know, like I want to be that. And obviously it's not just about financials. It's just like people that are
being around people who are doing the work that you want to do.
Powerful and yeah, impactful.
I also think there's something, this is not touched on in that book at all, but I think personality wise, there's something that you and I share. A lot of people might listen to this and say like, well, that's easy to look for the positive stuff when everything's good in your life and you are fit or you do have a happy marriage or you do have this or that. Something that Jill and I both very much do, and I don't know if this is part of our personality or if this is a skill that both of us have honed. Stuff is not perfect. Stuff goes wrong. Literally this morning before we started recording, Jill said, well, I don't know what lesson God is trying to teach me on this one, but like we're looking for what's the opportunity in the challenge, not saying, woe is me. Like literally, I mean, this is an extreme example, but like me and Brett we moved all of our stuff. We shipped his truck. We sold our house to move back for his job in the Virgin Islands. Within 6 months, Hurricane Irma and Maria hit. He lost his job. We lost our place. Like all this stuff happened. We moved back in with my parents because we were like, okay, we just sold our house in Maryland. What are we going to do? During that time, genuinely in my deepest of heart, I felt, okay, what's next? Why did this happen? Because there must be a reason, right? What's the opportunity we can create of the situation that we have? And now that I have kids and I get to live near my parents, I see like, oh, we were supposed to be here and we just didn't know it yet at that time. During COVID, I feel like the people who were most successful looked at it as, okay, well, this is our circumstance. What are we then going to do with the circumstance? We're not going to complain about it. How am I going to shift my business model from being an in-person trainer to creating an online program to sell versus the people who complained and waited around, get nowhere, right? So again, this is not to like, if you are in a moment of needing to wallow, feel the feelings, right? Yeah. But then say, okay, it is what it is. What am I going to now do with it? Because that's how you're going to move forward in anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just don't constantly validate those emotions over and over again. I tell Jess and I tell my husband, like one of the biggest like pet peeves for me on this planet Earth, if I could pick one thing, it's that when people complain about a circumstance or a situation or anything, and then they never do anything to change it. Because if you complain to me twice, I'm going to say, did you ever do X, Y, Z? Otherwise, I don't want to fucking hear it, right? Because I don't think you can complain about a circumstance when you're not doing anything to change it. And to mention what you said, like somebody said this, I think it was my sister heard this on a podcast somewhere, and I live and die by this now, is that if you keep experiencing something in life, like you're like, shit, why do I keep getting myself in this situation? Or why does this keep happening? Or the reason that, and I wholeheartedly believe this, the universe keeps putting you in this situation. I mean, you're putting yourself there ultimately, but presenting you with this is there is a lesson for you to learn that you haven't learned yet. So that's why, like Jess said, I'm always like, what am I missing here? What am I not learning? What do I need to pull from this so that I can like squash this and move on? So, it doesn't mean I don't have bad days. It doesn't mean I don't have days where I just want to sit on the couch and throw in the towel and work at Costco and simplify my life or run away. Because I certainly do, especially as a business owner. That happens every like 4 to 6 hours. But I never complain about my circumstance. And even like my mentors that I work with in business, if I like say something to them that's even negative, they're like, what do you need? I'm like, well, nothing. This is my problem and this is the solution. And I'm going to do it. I'm just expressing like what my thoughts are today. And they're like, cool, let us know if you need anything.
That's easy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I never am like asking anybody to do anything for me. Sometimes I need to get it off my chest, but then I'm like, all right, now I got to go do something about it. So anyway, I hope.
And that's not to say you can't ask for support and help and mentorship through the hard things. It's just, okay, what do you want to do about it rather than wallowing to play the victim, because that's not going to get you anywhere.
And they don't validate
around you. Yeah. Successful people don't validate it because they know they don't have time for that.
They're like, do you need our help with this thing or are you good? And I'm like, I'm good. This is my solution. Does it sound good? And they're like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm
cool.
Like,
we
that
move
was
on.
all I needed. Yeah. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. And I hope, some of these life lessons that I truly like are weaved into my almost every day we've talked about on here. So I hope that helps other people. But the neuroplasticity and the identity work is truly like one of my greatest fascinations in life. Quite frankly, if I can be so successful that I can just shift into like research in that field someday, like that's what I will do because I'm just obsessed with it. So here's your sign to really like create some like cognitive recognition and awareness around your thoughts and see where you are holding yourself back. And definitely highly recommend this book. It is very like sciencey specific, talking about neurons and stuff, which I love and not everybody loves. But I think
part 2 and 3 are more like, okay, this is now the work. Part 2,
like
part 3 is more, here's how to meditate to actually change your brain. Like, yeah.
Yep. So anyway, I think that's all for our semi-unhinged. We just wanted to pull a couple things from this weekend together. If you want to be a cowgirl or a cowboy, go be one. Just do whatever you want, you know? That's it. That's the lesson for today. So hope that was helpful, and we will see you guys next time.